Okay, so here's the homework for the week. Holding the breath, get to the eyes, start the exhale. Try to make that last 12 seconds, okay? So here's the click. Inhale for 6. The top of the inhale, I look up. I'm going to hold the breath there, bend the elbows while the breath is held. Hands come to the eyes, start my exhale. Uddiyana Bandha, drawing the lower navel in as I complete the exhale. So it's a 6-second lift of the arms. So that's a 6-second inhale. Breath is held. Start my exhale at the eyes. Got it? Now here's the kicker to take this deeper, okay? Continuing the pattern. And the tip of the tongue is going to go behind the 2 front teeth. And I'm going to keep the root of the tongue soft. So whatever I do, I don't let the tongue go hard or stiff, but the tip of the tongue rests just behind the 2 front teeth. It's like the back of the tip of the tongue. So I maintain that connection with the tongue, keeping it soft. And now I keep my weight in my feet and my ankles. I'm pressing down through my feet. I'm holding the breath. I'm pressing down through my feet. And now here on the exhale, as I initiate, I can draw the navel in, Uddiyana Bandha, and I can push down into the feet to reestablish that connection. Okay? All the while, keeping the tip of the tongue behind the 2 front teeth. Tongue is soft. The root of the tongue is soft. Sides of the tongue widen. Pressing down, weight in the feet, weight in the toes, arches of the feet lift up. Okay, you got it? You can do 5 to 10 of those. Really pay attention to the tongue. Make sure that it's 6 up and 12 down with the pause. That's what we're doing this week. Okay, so here's part 2 of that homework. The first part, we make sure that we get the grounding through the legs. That's what having that long exhale does. Holding the breath here, bringing the hands to the eyes, and then literally pressing down with the exhale, Uddiyana Bandha, pressing through the feet, right? So you got that part. Now, we build on that. And because we have this downward activity through the legs, we incorporate Uddiyana. The elbows come onto the tops of the knees on the exhale. The elbows and the wrists, one line with the shin. Yeah? And the exhale, the tongue goes out into Uddiyana. Now I'm going to hold empty, maintain Uddiyana. As I come to standing, arms come to shoulder height. The inhale begins there. 6 seconds in, exhaling, tongue out, hands on the knees, Uddiyana. Inhale. Exhale. Stay empty, Uddiyana. Inhale. Exhale. feet and the ankles. Pressing down through the feet as the inhale lifts the arms. Uddiyana is maintained. The exhale happens, the tongue is out, hands on the knees, weight in the ankles. Uddiyana, maintain, lift. Inhale when the hands pass the shoulders. So that's what we're working. Stage 2 of this week's practice. So, third stage of our homework. We have the click happening every 6 seconds. Remember, the first stage is just the arms, holding the breath, exhaling past the eyes. Uddiyana. Right? Learning to lift at the navel. And then we go into second stage. Again, learning to lift and apply Uddiyana on the inhale. Second stage, right, with Uddiyana. And then on the third stage, I'm going to continue exhaling into forward fold. Do the same thing with Uddiyana. Inhale when the arms pass the shoulders. You got that? So I'm learning to apply Uddiyana, staying empty and pulling in at the navel to lift the spine and pressing down with the feet. And then the inhale happens at the shoulders. Right? We're building. You can do that maybe 5 times, paying attention to what's happening there at the solar plexus behind the navel. And then we're going to do a setup because we're going to enter into bhujangasana. Everything that we've been doing is a setup to arrive in bhujangasana with the application of Uddiyana. Remember, Uddiyana means to fly upward. So we're learning how to lift this energy here at the midsection, rooting it down through the feet, creating an anchor to lift the spine on the inhale. So it's really learning how to work with the breath and the pressure applied through the breath, tied to the bandha. Remember, bandha means tie. And then there's no force. So we're releasing potential energy in that way. Remember, the spine is like a spring that's been compressed. So we free the spine from the cage of the body by using our breath and using bandha effectively. But the key is in the setup. So we don't just come down after doing those other 3 things, the 3 stages I just walked you through. We come down to the mat, but we don't come straight into bhujangasana. We come into makarasana, the crocodile pose. So I'll walk you through it. There's 3 stages of makarasana. Each stage, we're paying attention to the same breathing pattern that we've been doing. The inhale 6, hold, exhale, Uddiyana, hold, inhale, right? The same pattern that we just set up. Now we apply it here, starting with stage 1 of makarasana. So stage 1, the forehead comes to the back of the knuckles. The elbows are wide. Toes are out, heels are in. Now here I begin the breathing pattern. Working with Uddiyana. Drawing the shoulders away from the ears, pressing the pubic bone down, pressing down through the legs. Now I'm going to get an inner cue to move to stage 2. Stage 2 of makarasana. Chin rests on the back of the middle finger knuckle. Everything else is the same. Now I'm going to continue with this breathing pattern. Same thing. I'm going to pay attention to the tongue. The tip of the tongue is behind the 2 front teeth. Tongue is wide. Pubic bone is rooted. Continuing to keep the tongue soft, working with Uddiyana, breath, Bandha. And I'm going to get an inner cue to move to stage 3. Usually the fill, the inhale, is going to lift you into the shape. Stage 3, Makarasana, elbows are forward, hands in prayer, toes are towards the throat, chin is in. Reestablish the breathing pattern. If we do it right, we don't lose the breathing pattern because the breath moves us into the shape. Imagine you're still doing the vinyasa, only you're static. So the energy is moving the same. Uddiyana on the inhale. Navel stays back. Moving into Uddiyana on the exhale. You'll get the inner cue. And we move from stage 3 Makarasana to the setup for bhujangasana, the Cobra. Now we don't rush. We pay attention to the tongue as we make that transition. And then on the fill with Uddiyana, the inhale will lift you into the shape. Everything feels like it's buoyant and pulling upward. Once we arrive in bhujangasana, the same breath pattern, only now we're working with just the head. Everything else stays. Chin drops, Uddiyana. Uddiyana is maintained. Lift the chin, inhale. Navel stays back. Chin is lifting on the inhale. Top of the inhale, we hold, drop the chin. Just like you were lowering your arms, we start our exhale. Uddiyana. Uddiyana maintained. Lift chin, inhale. So you get the hang of that. Work with that. There's a lot there, okay? Really, really stay with the breath count and the bandha. Now you don't want to force, so you got to work to your capacity, but the breath count can kind of give you something to reference and observe. What's really important is just the quality of the bandha and the connection that we make in our mind between the breath and the bandha, and how that whole mechanism, activity of breath and bandha influences the distribution of energy along the length of the spine. So that's what I want you guys to work on. And so that's what I want you to work on. Enjoy. Let me know if you have questions. Peace.